Enter madman, stage left. The audience rises and holds their breath. They let the vampires into their house, pretend they don't see when the teeth come out. Put a band-aid on their throat. No one wants to rock the boat, and no one wants to talk about it. You're not supposed to talk about it. The curtain rises and the players come out. Webs of light spinning from their mouths. Start looking, listen for a little while. Attention to the men behind the curtain. Just look away when you see the blood spurting down to a steady drip. I promise to leave you a little bit. I'll be back for another drink tomorrow. I love the taste of your terror and your sorrow breathing in your blood. It's never enough. But no one wants to talk about it. It's safer not to talk about it. I cut my strings, no more bowing to the master. I tried to run, but they only came faster. Now I stand my ground. I ain't backing down. Silver bullets in my pistol, in my holster. My will is strengthened and my confidence is bolstered. Don't test my resolve. Don't test my resolve.
Hello and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. We're glad to have you with us. It's Sunday, July the 17th, 2022. My name is Cliff. I'm joined by Tim and Dustin. We're coming to you live from Carter County, Tennessee, in the middle of the Iron Mountain. And we're going to bring you some of the news and current events and get into a little bit of something about what I like to call a world government takeover, but other people have other names for it, like Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 and sustainable development and things like this. So we're going to get into a little bit of that and kind of lead up to some of our future topics. Glad to have you with us. As I said, if you wouldn't care, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share it around to somebody you think would enjoy it. It really would help us out if you'd subscribe, because our subscribers have gone down just a little bit. Well, they stayed right at the same, right, since for about a month now. So let's help us grow the channel. We'd like to remind you we got stickers available. If you want one of these bad boys, email me at theironmountainhour@gmail.com and I'll send you a couple of them for $5. And
they won't leave you in a sticky situation.
That's right.
I'm just testing the
Quality made stickers by East Tennessee Designs. Our buddy Wilbur made those for us.
I was getting ready to.
How do they? How's it smell, motherfucker?
It smells kind of like almost like car decal stuff, you know.
I like it. Well,
I don't regularly huff glue or adhesives, but that is actually I don't know.
we're having major crazy glitches on my screen here. I don't know if that's coming through or not. Let's hope it gets straightened out here. That seems to be part of my program.
It's really low quality on the stream so far, and
Yeah.
we're way behind.
Yeah, we're having it's way behind here even on mine. So hopefully it straightens out. This seems to be.
Well, golf? No, you don't have a chat thing. I guess you could put in the chat, hey, sorry our stream is bogging down or something.
Hopefully they can still hear us in just the videos. We got somebody in the chat here.
Several people.
There's Sean and Spill the Tea. Aaron Armageddon, it says he farted, and Sean says he thanks for buffering. And Armageddon Hour says, let's go, dudes. Glad to have you all with us. Thank you so much for your comments. Again, jump on in there and comment anytime you want. Hopefully this shit straightens out a little bit and we don't get too messed up. But it is what it is. Well, hopefully you can at least hear us, and we got some things we want to show you too. So hopefully those will come through. And last week we looked at some of the flooding there in Buchanan County, so we're going to look into that again and see what's up to date on that, and go through a few local stories. But before we get started, just kind of welcome you to the green room here. We're going to show you this thing we've been playing around with called Crayon. That's CRAIYON. Or you can put in an AI. An AI can do some art for you. This is Stephen King of the Hill that we did last week, and we thought this was funny. We messed around with this quite a bit and just screwed around with, got all kinds of different stuff. But this is pretty wild what AI is capable of. That's all we typed was Stephen King of the Hill, and that's what it came up with. Combinations of Hank Hill and Stephen King. So I thought that was pretty wild. You know, you talk about AI advancement, and you really don't see a lot of it right in your face up front, but these AI art programs are kind of something else, man.
Well, for photography, doing photo editing, like how Lightroom and Photoshop can do some pretty wild stuff now.
With AI?
Like you can do like with like masking and stuff. You can just feel like, hey, find the subject of my photo, and it'll automatically mask your subject off, so you don't have to go through and
Oh, wow.
completely do everything yourself.
That's cool.
And it's like whenever sometimes you gotta straighten photos out and crop, like if you're doing some wide angle stuff, especially with buildings, it'll make the buildings look like they're laying down to straighten them up. So sometimes when you crop in, it doesn't look as good. You can actually go into Photoshop, pull it up, and be like, okay, there's this area that's blank now, and you can color it in and tell it where to sample it from, and it'll AI generate and rebuild more of the picture for you.
Sweet.
Without having to go through and manually sample and make it do it yourself like you.
Yeah, kind of
Back in
glitchy.
the
Stick
past.
with us. Hopefully it's straightening out. Looks like it is on our end, so hopefully that is. Hey, another thing, if it starts glitching out on you too bad, always try jumping out of the stream and coming back in. We've had people, YouTube fucked with us a little bit after, seems like right after they hit us with that copyright strike, then we started having issues with them, with people glitching out. Our end, everything was fine, but YouTube wasn't. So if that happens, jump out of the stream and back in. Hopefully it'll fix it. Now, here was another one I did tonight. Did ham solo.
Yes. That's a good one.
Look at this.
That's great.
Oh, that's right. It's a screenshot there that I hit myself. I can't click on it. I did it on my phone and sent it to you. But if you go to CRAIYON.com, you can test that out for yourself and have some fun with it.
Tried Bob Borker.
No, I haven't. We're going to have to do that at some time. But speaking of Han Solo, this is Han Solo. He open carries, hates regulation and taxes, and opposes imperial overreach. Be like Han Solo. You don't have to be like Han Solo. I just thought that was pretty cool.
Damn
Should you be
scruffy
like
nerf
him?
herders.
That's right.
Nerf herder? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's. I assume that's what Leia calls Han in what is it, in Empire Strikes Back, and as an insult to him, she's a princess, and I guess a nerf herder is a nerf must be some kind of
Are you
field animal.
familiar, either of you, with the Star Wars lore enough, I guess, to know what a Nerf looks like? 'Cause I'm
not.
imagining almost like a Chia Pet, but with like Nerf material all over it.
I'm not. I always figured it'd be like some kind of alien goat, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Being
Nerf.
honest, I don't really know what one is.
Okay.
Well, we all suck.
Well, I'm sure there's people out there that just know.
Let's look at this one.
It's good you don't know.
While we continue in our green room.
I didn't know there was a Nerf. in Star Wars until this conversation. So
Do you know what womp rats are?
I do know a Womp Rat.
Okay.
That's the ones he was.
They're not much bigger than 2 meters. That's a big rat.
Really? You guys know a lot about Star Wars. No, I'm playing.
Some people, continue on in the green room, some people wouldn't know tyranny if it covered their faces, locked them in their homes, enacted the biggest wealth transfer in history, censored them, made them show papers, and forced medicated them. That's true. A lot of people say that's the price we pay to live in a civilization. Is it, though?
No.
And we got
a new car company at the top.
they're bringing the the Spiritus electric car, making an ad there. How about that? How appropriate for what we're going to get into
Well, I've
tonight.
never heard of Spiritus.
I haven't either.
Nope.
Daymark?
What's the symbol on
That must be a Canadian. 0 to 60 in 1.8 seconds. Holy crap!
That's what most of the higher
What about what the
electrics
Teslas
can-
do? Yeah,
Like,
which is impressively fast.
yeah.
okay, I guess. Like,
But where they have full torque on demand.
remember what I was
that's
talking about earlier? How we was talking about the theory that like the political parties are just like the two sides of the brain.
Yeah.
This goes into Elon. So I haven't done Elon in a while. This hit my brain just now.
Okay.
Your brain, like your right controls your left and your left controls your right. That's like pretty common knowledge, I guess. But I feel like the political party is the same way, where the right actually is just used to control the left, and the left is just used to control the right. And I wonder, like Elon is so connected to like the green stuff, like electric cars and stuff. It's so strange to me to see like the like a lot of the lefties that hate on like they hate his stuff because he's connected to it. So it's almost like making them anti-electric vehicles just
Yeah.
because it's connected to Elon.
Interesting.
So I'm wondering if I was wondering how long it was going to take before I guess more of a lefty person would make an electric car company, because those same people are also like anti-Ford and Chevy and stuff too.
Well, that's a Canada commercial or Canadian company. It looks like it has a maple leaf on the thing there.
You don't think it's just like a green, because like the leaf is like a kind of a green.
Well, I mean, it
symbol,
was a Canadian
you know?
flag, so.
You don't think it's because? No, I'm just playing. It's the first time I've heard a Spiritus. That's all.
Well, we got to keep going. We can't get caught up on that because we'll never get through all this stuff. We got a
It might be
bunch to do
imperative
tonight.
that we dig into Spiritus just in case it's a conspiracy.
They're digging this up. They're digging the COVID back up. They're saying the numbers right now are worse as far as cases than they were at the so-called height of the pandemic. So they're like, our area, they're like, we're in a high transmission area and we should be wearing masks again. But I haven't really heard anybody say that, other than I saw it on WJHL. And then here's the Nexstar Newswire, which is who owns WJHL. Nexstar, they're a nationally syndicated. Basically, they run local news all over the country, kind of like Sinclair. And they say, is COVID-19 living in your freezer? They got to pull these things up to keep you scared from time to time, right? So they say...
Who still reads this?
I don't know, but they say they tested and found that some coronaviruses, which could be an analog for COVID-19, would survive, and they were more likely to survive on... They tested them on salmon, pork, chicken, beef, and refrigerated and freezing them for 1 month. And they was like, oh, they can still... pick it up. But then they lay down here in the middle of the article, while the main mode of transmission of COVID-19 is widely known to be respiratory, the researchers note previous data shows that coronaviruses can survive even on non-frozen foods like produce and possibly infect someone.
Are they saying like if somebody coughs on the cucumber before you take it home?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like that's
While
a
you wash your motherfucking produce.
number one, wash your produce if you're not gonna
Because
do that.
the
But, like,
more deadly thing is like E. coli.
Does anybody not
salmonella and
see,
stuff.
like-
It's like that's way more likely to happen.
But this
Yeah.
is the dumbest straw man ever. Like they've got us talking about whether or not viruses can survive on frozen meat. Are you not going to cook your meat?
Yeah.
Like what scenario are you going to be like, here's some
Meat's
frozen
pickled.
meat, give it to someone with coronavirus, they cough on it and then immediately freeze it, and then you
And then take it out and
freeze
eat it raw.
Yeah, and just eat it frozen or raw.
Yeah.
And I mean, like if that, you could give me some examples that actually make sense to show me that like the virus is going. I'm not going to argue that, but that's just a stupid straw man. Like that's the dumbest version. It can survive on frozen meat. So when you decide to have a frozen meat burger later, you might get sick.
Watch
Wash
out,
your
everybody.
cubes. You got
Well, we got a bad glitch going here. Hopefully they can see it.
Oh, look at
Yeah.
that!
Yeah, it's super glitchy.
I hope it keeps going that way. I have
There it
this
goes.
weird,
We're caught up.
weird eyes there for.
Yeah, we got Aaron says the AI is like it's sentient, and he says he still think it's just demons. A lot of people think that.
They think AI is demons.
Yeah.
How so?
Well, that demons, there's the theory that demons actually possessed people in order to get them to invent AI So they would basically be able to use a machine as a means to affect the human world. But that's, I'm kind of surprised you haven't heard that one, Tim, as much conspiracy theories as you get into.
Yeah, but that one,
I can understand the.
why would they need to invent machines? Like, couldn't they just possess a person?
Perhaps that's, I don't know.
I don't know. I guess when I start thinking of
Perhaps
machines and stuff, like
it's soulless.
when you
it's
say
not
like a
as
demon is like interdimensional. I mean,
Well, and human bodies are brittle too. I mean, you think about it compared to a computer network that stretches across the world and lives in multiple
I guess I'm having
computing
trouble with
devices.
the word demon. I guess I don't have a problem with there being a thing making us build AI so it can take it. I guess I don't like the word demon because the classical, like traditional word for demon is, I don't know, like in Japan it's not even like a. Well, I guess not even all Japan, because some Japanese cultures actually did take it seriously. They'd build their bridges to where it had like a U shape in it, and it would keep going because demons could only move straight, or something. But like I don't know. I guess I have a problem with the word demon.
Miss U2 says it's buffering again for him, but glad to be here. Thank you for joining us, Miss U2. We've missed you in the chat these last few weeks. Armageddon Hour says it's like the thing. Is COVID-19 in my freezer or is Danny DeVito in my heart? The answer is both. Be careful when you open your freezer. You get that COVID jump scare. The meat just jumps out right at you.
Like when they stick the blood, the heat in the blood in the thing to make more of the thing, and it shoots out. And they're like, and then they're all tied up, and then the one starts wigging out and transforming, and they're like,
maybe that blood is quantumly intimate. If you went through possessing one person versus being alive in a machine that's designed specifically for you. Well, what do you care? It's the same idea no matter what you call it.
Who said at the beginning of wisdom is calling things by their proper term.
Okay, but
the magic devil box.
But the main thing is the idea in this case, though, whether you call it a demon or not.
If a demon exists, but it's not that thing that's doing it? Now you're confusing your own language.
Well, it's some other kind of entity. I mean, you could call it. It could be an alien. It could be a demon. It could be interdimensional. Could be something. Who knows? But the idea is the same. That it is going through and affecting people through the computer, affecting people through their bodies in order to affect more people through the computers. But anyway. I don't want to get stuck on that because
seems like adding stuff.
We do got real world stuff to get into, so let's get over to.
You're arguing semantics of what the word demon is. And
you're doing that.
Yes, I am, but you're arguing back, which means you obviously think that it has to have some impact.
Well, no, you're saying that it matters, and I'm saying it doesn't for the purposes of our conversation.
Use words, I do think it matters.
Okay, I get you.
If we're going to use because we go into like Bigfoot and moon landings and all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
And we should probably do a topic on demons one night now because I don't think that's
point taken.
I don't think they're the same thing, unless you. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people do get into the are aliens demons talk, and a lot of people think they are, and
okay.
I think it's just basically an idea in this point. It got to be nowadays. Let's see. Wait a minute. We've missed a bunch of chats here. Spill the Tea says, not sure if I believe it, but possible. Aaron says it's why the Amish don't allow electricity, free will, and all that. It's like talking on the telephone compared to in person. And Spill the Tea says, I'm always in my high vibrational golden bubble. I'm going to turn off this other camera here and see if it works a little better. If I just turn the other one off, maybe.
Well,
see how far behind that one is?
You have 36 tabs of hentai at the top.
I can't help it,
demon porn? Dude, you're really into this stuff.
I can't help it. It's addicted. It's like a portal. It's like every time I watch it, I'm connected to what's on the other side of that. And every time I bust one, it's taking a little energy from me.
When you bust one, a squid gets its tentacles.
Well, this is brought to you by Tammy's Artisanal Toys. No, I'm just kidding.
Bring up the new tentacle edition. That has to exist. There's no way.
Oh yeah, I guarantee it.
There's like probably a whole store of it somewhere of nothing but tentacles.
Okay, let's turn off the table cam and let's turn off. There we go. Turn off the table cam over here. Go to the main camera only. Oh. And still no better.
Oh well.
No, you just have to work with us, folks. Sorry. Hopefully you can still hear us.
As long as the audio is fine, I guess that's really all that matters.
Let's see. Spill the Tea says, I'm always in my high vibrational golden bubble. Gotta be nowadays. And Miss You says, I've been missing the live shows because of the buffering, but I've watched all your shows later. They play just fine. Yeah, it's weird. I don't think this one's going to, actually. So
I don't think it's going to play fine.
no, I think it's on my end, but I can't figure out what it is.
Caught up at least.
Yeah,
Well, as long as the audio's fine, I mean, the video's on. I mean, maybe we might give someone a seizure.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to edit the beginning and put a seizure warning.
Well, let's get into our local stuff real quick.
Start popping and locking in the beginning, really flip people
like-
out.
My popping and locking looks like a seizure, so that would probably do the trick. Let's look here at the damage assessments in the Whitewood area there in Buchanan County, where they had the huge flood. They had like 6 inches of rainfall in a couple hours in that valley that we looked at. We saw the drone video of the water going. We got trucks, campers everywhere. They had a big flood down in Pigeon Forge too. Washed away a bunch of stuff at the campgrounds down there. They say the immediate needs that they have up here are cleaning supplies and large water containers and water, push brooms and shovels to get things cleaned up. They said they don't really need any food at the time. Well, shoot, that's... I'll have to look at the image gallery.
There was a social media post that was going around this that had, I think it was a green car down in like a ravine. And I think people were wanting to share around that if anybody saw that and didn't follow back on it, that
Okay.
person is fine.
They had
Just
30
a car.
homes destroyed, 31 major damage, 30 homes have minor damage, and 39 other homes were affected. And they had 6 commercial properties destroyed, 6 commercial properties with major damage, 2 commercial properties with minor damage, and 3 commercial properties affected. So I think everybody was okay. They were missing 44 people when we talked last week. I think they found everybody. Could be mistaken, but last I heard,
How many people died?
last I heard, nobody did.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
but I'm not seeing it on here.
impressive.
Yeah.
How about
Glad
that
to-
Gatlinburg?
Glad to hear that. The Gatlinburg, I don't know about that one. Let's look it up real quick.
Gatlinburg, let's see.
Severe County flood or Gatlinburg flood.
First they burn it and then they flood it.
Let's see.
Extra famine.
$14 people rescued and 400 evacuated. I don't think
I don't see any
anybody. I
deaths.
don't
That's
think anybody
good.
died. That's great. At Greenbrier Campground in Gatlinburg, and they evacuated everybody, and they had 14 people trapped due to flooding, but they got all them out of there. Looks like everybody's okay. So
That's good. Heck yeah.
good news here in Appalachia. We had a hell of a flood. Well, it wasn't a flood, but a hell of a rainfall today. Me and B, we decided we were going to go up to pulling your bird, says Dalton. Yes. We decided we were going to go up to take some photos of kind of when you get up to Sam's Gap. There's kind of a spread where you can see out really far over all the mountains up there, and they're not real high, but it just looks really nice, all of them together. So we're going to go look at those, and then this storm came, so we drove through it and then turned around about Weaverville and started coming back, and then basically it stayed with us the whole way back to Elizabeth. And you had to drive 45 miles an hour. Everybody was driving with their flashers on or pulling over.
While the storm cloud just hang there,
Yeah,
pop in,
yeah.
up in the hallway.
And then it got to Elizabeth, and then most of it had dissipated by then. I'm telling you what, it was some hellacious rainfall. You couldn't see anything. But on to the next story. Luckily, we didn't. I don't think I looked in the news to see if it flooded anything, and I don't think it had. So that's fortunate. Hey, when we were talking Wednesday about the. Whoops. We were talking Wednesday about the Uvalde officers and how they had not only failed all those children and families down there at the Robb Elementary School shooting in Texas, but how they had failed themselves, and they ought to be ashamed of themselves if it. Unless, I mean, the only thing I can imagine for them to act this way and not go in there and help those children is if they thought it was a drill. But you see those videos, like they run away when they start hearing the gunfire. So I thought I'd show you this in stark contrast, that there are still people out here who know what to do when a child is in danger. And this man from Lafayette, Indiana, watch this. Here he comes over here on the right side of the screen. You'll have to watch. I'll start it over so you can see it good. But this guy, look over here on the right where my pointer is. He's coming out of this burning house. He was driving by and he saw the house on fire, and he went, he jumped out of his car and he saw 3 kids peeking out of the window, and he went in and helped them get out. But then there was a 4th child, and he went into the home and got out the 4th child from the top floor. He jumped out the window, broke the window, and held the child while he jumped off of the roof. And here he is after. And this is, hang on just a second. Oh, I didn't have the audio on, so let me let you hear the audio for this one. The last one we can do without the audio, but this one we need it on. So let me hit it here. But this is what you do when a child, this is what normal people do when a child is dangerous. I have no doubt, Tim doesn't have children, but I have no doubt if Tim had a situation where he thought he could help children and put himself in danger, and Dustin, you don't have children either, I know, but I know both of you guys would put yourself in danger to save those children, and most people would, so why didn't they? But anyway, let's look at this. The guys, they've got him out. He's cut wide open from jumping through the glass. He's got smoke inhalation. On the last video, he said he needed oxygen.
Here, lay on your back, dude. All right. Okay, tie. Breathe. Here, raise your arm up for me, man. I can barely. Here. Raise his arm up for me. Hey, somebody, do better. Do better. I know it's gonna hurt, okay, but we're gonna stop the bleeding. All right. Go for it. Here, lay on your back.
Please tell me those baby's okay. You know, let's see. No, here it is. Sorry, that's the wrong one right here.
Is the baby okay? Please tell me that baby's okay. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, she's okay.
100%? Yep, you're okay. You did good, dude. Okay.
He didn't even care about
baby
himself, and
okay?
that's what you do when a child's in danger. And I don't know what the hell happened down there, but I don't want to get back into that one tonight because that got me mixed up. But I really just want to look at that and say this guy, Michael Bostic, Nick Bostic, amazing guy, saved those kids, awesome.
I have 5 children by 5 different women. I don't pay child support. I don't love those kids, and if I ever get the chance, I will sell crack cocaine to them.
Oh. Okay.
None of that's true. Just trying to,
Hunter Tim.
No, we don't have kids, but yes, if I saw a kid inside of a burning house, I'd run inside and try to get it.
And I have no doubt if you were in a school and there was somebody in there hurting kids, you'd probably do whatever you could to try to help them and not just hide in the...
The way I look at it, and this is me, and I assume that everybody, if they really think about it, this is them. So that's why we all were bamboozled when we didn't see the police acting the same way. Is like, if you had permission to jack the world up of a school shooter, wouldn't you not be like, if you had like 9 cops show up, it seems like that'd all be like, all right, who gets to do it?
That guy's got the Punisher logo on his phone.
What is up with that? Do you think, because here's 2 theories. Let's go with Crazy Tim style. Maybe they wanted you to see that. Or
yeah, he's okay.
Was that like kind of like a trigger where he was like trying to get himself worked up, where he's like, it's time to go into Punisher mode?
That's what I was wondering.
Was he trying to get himself amped up?
That's kind of what I felt like. Yeah,
that's
I don't know
that too.
I don't know if he felt like it was too big a coward. There was one guy that dang it, your show's off air now, guys. Well, hopefully it comes back on.
Just gotta come back.
Yeah, just gotta leave and come back.
It kicked me earlier too. I know.
Sorry about that, guys.
On.
YouTube sometimes doesn't like us. They really don't.
It doesn't like men who have 5 kids and you don't pay child support.
And men with beards. It doesn't like men with beards. And here we are.
We should come back with no beard. No, I'm not. No. I was gonna say no hair, but I was like, nah, man. Neither one of us is getting rid of the hair.
That has no problem for me, as I am a bald man. Let's look here. Little what do you call it? Federalism news, I guess, and little peaceful divorce news. More, let's see, Betsy DeVos, she was Trump's education secretary. She calls for abolishing the Department of Education, the federal Department of Education. I think that's a great idea.
Great.
I think that's a great idea. A reduction in federal power, federal bureaucracy, federal spending. I mean, really, if you look since...
And if you notice, since the 70s when they established that department, American education went to shit.
That's right. You did have...
Do you have a response for it, though?
What do you mean? No, there's none. Get rid of it. You don't need it. There's no reason to have it.
Okay, well, yeah, you can say that.
That's what she's saying.
But like, and I'm not saying she's
you
wrong.
have state departments of education if you feel like you need to have one.
Yeah, but like the way, because I don't like government, but you got if you're going to do government, you got to play the game of it, and it almost never works if you put something up and you don't have a response. Like, you have to at least say, I think states would do better off without it, and we should give this funding that is currently going to this
Yeah, that's
to
what
the
she's saying.
states to give
That's
them
what
like
she's
an
saying, not-
artificial boost.
Yeah,
you know?
no, that's what she's saying.
Okay, we see I'm
Yeah.
just saying, like, they have to have when they see what they're Betsy DeVos calls for the abolishment of the Department of Education. Like, to anybody that reads that, that's heck, I don't even want to say on the left. to a normal non in the know person, I guess, that saw that, the only thing they think of is, holy shit, the Republicans are going after the education
No,
system
basically
again.
what it is that there are a bunch of people who are not elected by the people, and they implement education policy that goes nationwide. You don't have any possibility of changing it. Like here in Carter County, they put something in the educational curriculum that is, say let's say it's not true, and they put it in there, or something that's indoctrination, and they put that in there, and we don't have any recourse to change it with the federal Department of Education,
Oh, no, I'm not arguing
or they
that.
can't get money for the schools because the federal government takes the money that would be going to our state and local districts, and then puts it all in one mass, and then decides who gets it, and they give you strings attached to it, when realistically that money, we should have had that to spend anyway. And I'm all for going towards a more a system like they're doing in places like Arizona. Doug Ducey just signed a law into effect out there where the money from the school systems are going to actually follow the children. So whichever school the child and their parents pick to go to, that's where their state allotted education dollars will go. So I think that's great. I'd like to see more of that. It allows
Is that
for
a Republican idea? As far as, like, this is what the Republicans want, is privatized education. Right?
that. So there are some Republicans who are in favor of it.
Right.
It's not.
And wouldn't you say that the current left is what drove
the
the
public
masses
schooling.
to want to do that? That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
They control the opposite
Yeah.
side more than they control.
Yeah,
the
you're right. It's the overreach and mostly more than anything, it's the putting in, people on the right who are more likely to have children. It's just a fact. There's liberals with children.
Currently,
Yeah,
it
there's
wasn't always that way.
no, but right now people on the right are more likely to have children. They are not in favor of the implementation of critical race theory or gender ideology in school, and that's been the biggest thing at driving them to push to run for legislature, run for school board, to push all these ideas out of here. Has been, like you said, the Democrats. They've just kind of pushed too hard. Now Miss U2 says it's back on, so that's great. Glad to hear that. Hopefully it'll be smooth for us the rest of the night.
It usually
But
moves up after 10:30.
I don't want to get stuck on this too long either, because we got a lot to get into, but let's move on to the next story in this topic, which is the Missouri AG says the FBI can't audit concealed carry permits. Now, they recently did this is from KCTV5 here in Kansas City, but they did a law in Missouri that the state and local law enforcement agencies are barred from assisting federal law enforcement in carrying out gun laws and enforcing federal gun laws. So they say, Missouri, we have our own gun laws here. We'll enforce those. You feds, you can have your law here, but we're not going to help you enforce it, and it's going to be illegal for any of our officers to do so. So I think that's another step in the right direction.
Yeah.
Now let's go on.
Many more steps, but
Yeah, we got a ways to go, but I think they did that in New Hampshire too. I'd like to see Bill Lee do that. He did do the permitless carry there, so that's a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see more steps in that direction. Let's see, we got some chats here. Nope, I thought that was Tim. What you got there? Oh, I thought you
Oh,
were
no,
there.
I just kicked myself. Just coming back.
All right. So we talked the last couple weeks.
yeah, mine did too.
There are uprisings going on around the world. We've looked at particular at the Dutch. We looked at Sri Lanka. Now, a good way to describe it, I think, would be that Sri Lanka is what happens when these environmental social government scores are used. Sri Lanka had an almost perfect environmental social government score, which is basically, it's something that the UN gives out to gauge how you're affecting the environment, which is really mostly based on carbon more than pollutants. And then your social contracts, as far as, allowing gay marriage, kind of liberal social policies. And then governance is where basically you're a liberal government and connected into the world, the economic order. Those scores are, Sri Lanka had almost a perfect one. We showed how the World Economic Forum said it was going to make Sri Lanka rich, and the economy crashed. People stormed the prime minister's mansion. They burned one of them down. They stormed the president's mansion. They had the officials had to flee the country on a military ship. And there were protesters in the pool at the prime minister's house, and in there watching TV, watching footage of the riot on the prime minister's television. Thought that was good. But so that was kind of what happens when those policies fail, right? Their economy tanked and weren't able to get food. They weren't able to, or the inflation was up so high they were spending 80% of their money on food and shelter. And historically, when a population hits 50% of their money spent on food and shelter, that's when they'll a lot of times start to riot. Well, that is what is looking like it's going to happen in the Netherlands, and I think the people in the Netherlands see it coming and have decided that they don't want that to happen there. So that's why they're shutting down the world's second largest agricultural exporter. Before it gets to that case, they're showing the people who are signing all these laws, because they see them coming into place in the Netherlands, that without the farmers, they don't have anything. And let's look at this here in the Netherlands. At least some people here have figured out what's going on and are trying to put that out there that they know who's doing this to them. Thought that was interesting. What we got over here? Here's the Netherlands Prime Minister.
Natuurlijk, als je in een paar weilanden leeg trekt en je zet naar huizen neer, is veel makkelijker dan in de stad bouwen. Maar even, weet je, als je natuurlijk huizen bouwt in de stad, dat zijn ze hier aan het doen. Dat is natuurlijk, als je in een paar weilanden leeg trekt en je zet naar huizen neer, is veel makkelijker dan in de stad bouwen. Maar
so, I don't know, it's kind of taken out of context there, but the idea is that when all these farms are shut down to help the economy, there will be free land available, open land to build houses for all the people all the tech workers who are going to come in and run this tri-city state or tri-state city that's supposed to be the head of the coming world government. Now we've got here from the World Economic Forum. The World Economic Forum Consortium launches paperless Netherlands travel pilot. So they're having a passport-free pilot program between the two countries, where basically you go ahead and give all your identity digitally to one government and the other. They share it automatically. They know where you are at all times, so there's no issue for you to travel back and forth. You don't have to check with the government because they know where you are. Known traveler identity, it's called. And it's just going to make things so happy, isn't it, guys? It's so convenient to be able to travel without. You'll be able to ask permission without having to leave your house. You can ask Daddy Government if you can go.
You already have to. You have to get a passport.
I know, but now you can do it you can ask Daddy Government without leaving your house. You can go ahead and have it where they watch you all the time so that you never have to worry about it.
So when you get the thought of going,
yeah, I think that's where we get to, yeah. But they say by 2030, international air travel is expected to rise to 1.8 billion passengers, up 50% from 2016, which is kind of funny because they're talking about international air travel going up. Isn't the airline industry the biggest polluter or the biggest emitter of carbon dioxide in the world? I'm not sure about that.
Outside of, well, no, not. They pollute a lot, but really, I mean, the countries of China, India, and the U.S. military are your top 3 carbon polluters in the whole world.
I don't call it carbon pollution because I don't think carbon is a pollutant. Let's look at what is the largest carbon producing industries. The transportation sector generates the largest share of greenhouse gas emissions, primarily from our cars, ships, trucks, trains, and planes. This is from the EPA. Transportation, industry, electricity, agriculture. So agriculture, look here, I'll show you on the screen, 11%.
And they're wanting to shut all of that down for
more transportation. And they say they're going to make it green, but transportation, they're going to double the transportation by 2030. And they're going to cut this little, it's like that little, I don't know, man. None of this stuff makes sense if you look at it. If you dig into what they're really saying, look at it logically, none of it adds up. But let's move on. Speaking,
well, it puts more control on that's something that we all need is food. So if they can control that, they definitely have control over you.
It makes sense if you look at it from somebody trying to control you. If you look at it from somebody trying to make a better society for everybody, it doesn't make as much sense. And if you start really looking at the details of these plans, let's look at this right here, though. Speaking of that story, this is from, let me find the guy's name here. This is from Mikhailo Fedorov. He is the vice president or the vice prime minister of Ukraine, and he's the minister of digital transformation of Ukraine. Before we look at that, let's read this chat here from Aaron. We got a few chats here. Lots going on unreported, says Spill the Tea. I wonder why. And Aaron says, my passport card has multiple embedded chips, not like a debit card, but these metallic squiggly thin lines, and the machine at the border can scan it from 4 feet away and immediately pull your info. Yep, and that's what we're going to get into right here. This is from the Vice Prime Minister of Ukraine and the head of the Ukraine Digital Transition. Can they hear that?
Let's look 8 years ahead. 2030. The history of the new Ukraine is studied all over the globe. Why? Because Ukraine became the most digital and convenient country in the world. Scripts have replaced bureaucrats. 500,000 former public servants are successfully integrated in the new economy. No more red tape.
Now I got to say that sounds pretty good, right? When you hear it, to start with, 500,000 public servants are integrated into a new economy. I'm all right with the sound of that, but let's keep going.
But paperless. No more banknotes, but cashless. Yes, we became the first country to abandon paper money. Ukraine now has the best tax system for the IT industry and the most affordable e-residency. Thanks to Ukrainian engineers and programmers, the R&D centers of the world's top technology companies operate successfully, and Ukraine ranks first in the world by the number of startups per capita. Ukrainian courts are guided by artificial intelligence, and all notarial acts take place online. Ukrainian customs is fully automatic and the fastest.
So you won't have to worry about, that troublesome jury of your peers. The computer will decide if you did it or not, if you're guilty or not, right? It can't be wrong. It can't be programmed to, to certain parameters that may...
It's like the cord in the 1980s Transformers movie.
I don't remember it.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
It was a cord of like different transforming robots, and it was one that had multiple heads, and it would say you're guilty or innocent. Whenever it said innocent, it would like drop them into something to try and kill them.
Okay. It's kind of like Minority Report, where that leads to, because the AI is going to think it's so smart that it'll be able to predict with a 97% accuracy whether or not you're going to even commit a crime, and then they can arrest you before you commit the crime. Don't you think that's where that would logically head?
Yeah. And also, it's like, if you think that, you're like, oh, all this e-commerce, it's like, all this is low, but how expensive is it going to be to have things like, water and food if you're doing everything just digitally, and you have nothing? And, Ukraine is one of the world's largest grain exporters, so if you got all that,
Ukraine produces, a quarter of the world's grain?
Yeah. But if you also think, like, okay, it's going to be stupid expensive for, like, things like that there, wouldn't it? Just thinking of it like that, because some other countries, like, I have a buddy that's been visiting Moldova, where he was born originally.
That's where Vigor the Carpathian's from.
Sweet. But yeah, he was saying, like, some stuff there, like, he went to a farmer, like one of the big farmers markets there, and it's like you can get stuff like ridiculously cheap, like cherries, like 50 cents a pound and stuff like that. And you can just, good, fresh meat, everything is like great, like if you wanted to go to those type of markets.
Yeah, and they want us to eat crickets and pay with our credit card that's embedded in our hand or something. Let's look here, let's finish watching this.
In the world, customs clearance and car registration can now be done in 3 clicks from your smartphone. Because of war and internal migration, we have built the most flexible and modern digital education. Brave military and civilians get quality treatment with modern remote monitoring and e-health systems. Ukraine also has the most effective...
for your health, guys. They're going to monitor us from afar and make sure that we're healthy. That sounds something surely that couldn't go wrong, right?
No.
Nothing could go wrong with that.
Cyber defense in the world. After the horrors of 2022, Ukraine focused on security systems. Now every production facility has its air defense system, and the sleep of Ukrainians is protected by an ultra-modern iron dome. The Ukrainian government is digital, more like an IT company in terms of the efficiency of implementing decisions, and one can register a land plot, start construction, open a business or get a license, and register a car or real estate from a smartphone, automatically, in 1 click. Ukraine is the freest and digital. This is all because international partners and the world's leading technology companies supported the Digital for Freedom initiative and united to help Ukraine recover through digitalization, building a new Ukraine together, free and the fastest.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah. Spill the Tea says, no thanks, I like cash, I don't have a bank account. It's hard to be paperless. Yeah, it is. I wish I could do that too. I probably could. I guess I just haven't made it enough of a priority. But, with U.S. dollars right now, you don't even really know, even though the U.S. dollar is now, the euro has gone down to the equal of the U.S. dollar for the first time ever. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Because we're selling everything, petrol's going so high, we're connected to these high gas prices. The higher the gas goes, the more the euro went down, but the dollar went up too because we're selling gas gas is a commodity and the dollar is completely attached.
And the dollar's where you trade it. But we just recently seen I wish I had this pulled up, but a what do you call it? Consortium of nations, and with the BRICS form an alliance for trading, and then you've got the Southeast Asian countries, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam. There's a couple other there, maybe Burma. The largest Southeast Asian island agencies are forming their own consortium that are looking at moving away from the petrodollar. Spill the Tea says, or Aaron Armageddon says, yeah, that's the way everyone needs to be right now, because when the market collapsed in Greece a few years ago, Soros people went to their ATM and money wasn't accessible. That's right. And Spill the Tea says, it seems easier to steal identities too. You break your phone and then what? Yeah. Very good point. But I think that this is a pretty face to put on a transhumanist digital nightmare, because they're not going to show you ultimately what all this boils down to is they have more control over you no matter where you go. They're taking out, because right now you have to go to the government office and see them in person and present documents or whatever. No, they're just going to have it on you all the time now. And if they're going to have remote monitoring of your health, what does that mean? You're going to have your smartphone mostly. It can do things like check your pulse oxygenation. It can check your heartbeat. It tells you when you sleep. And the government will, in this scenario here, have full access to that and probably much more at all the time. And eventually, the idea for the 6G that is supposed to be implemented around 630 is that you'll have wearable and implantable devices, and basically that your phone is going to be an augmented reality device that you're either wearing glasses or is implanted somewhere to where you see it over as a heads-up display. So Ukraine is just the first nation, I think, to come out and announce this, but I think there's probably a lot more that are planning it.
I think the rainbow font is subliminal.
How so?
Well, did you not see it on the thing there?
You mean on this?
See,
yeah.
The font is rainbow colored, and it's almost like, the LGBT, the flag, their rainbow flag has been hijacked to no longer even represent them. They're trying to make it represent everybody.
Including pedophiles.
Yeah. Well, I'm not even arguing the maps.
I'm saying there's people advocating for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying. I feel like if this is a giant PSA for why you should support Ukraine, hiding this, I'm using it from a marketing perspective, because I'm telling you, as a psychology graduate, if you're not getting hired to work at like a Woodridge setting, or you're not going to clinicals, or going to be a doctor,
going into advertising,
one of the number one people that'll hire you is advertising. And look at how they got the rainbow hidden in the font to try to get the gay support without them even realizing it. Yeah. That's what I feel like they're doing anyway.
I'd say you're right about that. Spill the Tea says, right, like a few years ago happened here, and then, 100%. All right, so how many of you have heard of Agenda 21? It goes around in the conspiracy circles a lot, but, what is it really? Well, it's a sustainable development plan that was put forth by the United Nations at the Conference on Environment and Development in Rio de Janeiro in 1992. And we've got it all laid out here, and if you want to look this up, all you have to do is look up Agenda 21 Sustainable PDF here. They go through the whole plan. We got all kinds of stuff from protection of the atmosphere to protection of biodiversity, environmentally sound management of hazardous waste, lots of things that sound important. But the main thing is that overall, we have a world body to enforce all these things. And we have financial resources and means of implementation. So they go through it all here if you want to see how they plan on doing it. We're not going to get into all that tonight. What we are going to look at is the 17 goals of the See, because they've pretty much achieved Agenda 21. They have the framework in place to do all these things. So now is the implementation of it, which are the Sustainable Development Goals. Let's watch this video real quick. I don't know how long this is, actually. We might not watch the whole thing. Yeah, minute 25. Let's look at it.
It's not by the BBC, is it?
I think it's by the UN.
A way you can get around that stuff is to put fair use logos all over it. Like right now they can get you because it's a whole screen. But
Well,
if
this
you
is the
watch
UN.
it,
It's not a corporate thing.
so I'm saying anybody can strike you if they really wanted to. Like you can false strike people if you really wanted to.
Good health and well-being. You know what that means, don't you? And zero hunger. You will eat the bugs. You will eat the bugs. No more of the cows. Life below water. That should be interesting. Clean water and sanitation. They want to control all these things is what they're saying. Climate action. That can be anything. Life on land. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. I wonder why they haven't put them all out of order like they did. Gender equality. It's for sustainable development. Quality education. Brought to you by the UN. Zero hunger. Plenty of crickets for everybody to eat. Industry innovation and fascism. Fascism or world socialism, however you want to look at it. Basically, the world government basically controlling all the corporations of the world under one umbrella. Sustainable cities and communities, maybe like smart cities. We're gonna have to get back into that. No poverty. Yeah, there'll be no poverty because there'll be no people. Remember the main goal on the guidestones? The for number one was to limit the population to 500 million. That was a quick way to look at it, but ultimately, if you think these people got your best interest in mind, got a bridge to sell you.
Burt Reynolds. That needs to go into the AI generator. Burt Reynolds.
Oh, let's try that real quick.
Burt Reynolds.
All right, before we get into our closing on this, let's look that up for a little break and a little bit of levity here. Crayon. We'll do this in real time with you folks. Where's Crayon?
It is live, after all.
That's right. Oh. That's weird. It's
Pulled
not...
it because they heard what we said. The AI was so sentient.
Well, there's one here, but
image.
Yeah, maybe so. This is not the one I want. Well, we'll just try Dolly Mini.
I also want to do Clydesdale Earnhardt.
Just a horse with a big damn mustache.
All right, Q.
The big 3 on it,
Burt Reynolds. I think that, you know.
No, can they see this right here?
Wordplay is.
So they'll know how this works, so they won't just.
Yeah, we just typed in. Go to. This is huggingface.co. Just search Crayon or Dolly.
Because that looks like a link.
Oh yeah,
Clicker.
that's what we want. That's the better
Clickers.
one. Yeah, here we go.
There you go.
This is the better
That's probably
program.
just them uploading a virus to your computer.
Probably.
You just name the virus file.
Let's try Reynolds. Should not take long, up to 2 minutes. That's all you do, folks. It's crayon.com. Okay, yeah, that's right. So yeah, you type it in there and give it a few minutes. It shows you some examples, shows you some ads. They want us to buy some Hershey syrup.
Hershey's syrup is ass. That is like the worst chocolate syrup.
It's just corn syrup and chocolate flavor, isn't it?
I mean, if any of the others are way superior.
Well, Nesquik has a bunch of vitamins and stuff at least added to it.
Nesquik is really good.
Tastes
hell,
good.
even a rich chocolate Ovaltine.
Yeah.
That one's a lot better.
Yeah.
Even with its kind of slightly vitamin taste.
I always liked the chocolate malt Ovaltine when I was a kid.
Yeah, that one's good.
Tastes like Whoppers.
Or if you get into some of the more bougie ones.
What's that hashtag or the hyphen at the end is hurting it?
Armageddon Hour says regulate and maintain Earth's population to 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Yeah, that's the number one tenet on the Georgia Guidestones that got blown up.
So what if all this Ukraine stuff and Georgia Guidestones is to control y'all? So you guys will build the one world government for them. What in the hell?
I don't think he understood what we were going for there, did he? It looks like Sigmund Freud or something.
Reynolds. There's probably a guy named Burt Reynolds out there. Like,
Probably.
Burt Reynolds, and he invented.
What was the other one you said?
Cinder blocks in the year 17.
What was the other one you said?
Clydesdale Earnhardt.
That looks like Teddy Roosevelt mixed with Woodrow Wilson.
Like Stroke.
Like a Clydesdale horse.
Clydesdale what? What was it?
Clydesdale, a horse.
I know, but what was the rest of it?
Oh, Earnhardt.
Oh, yeah,
As in,
Clydesdale Earnhardt.
the baddest race car driver to ever grace the Daytona. I don't know. Number 3.
Clydesdale Earnhardt. This ought to be good.
Imp
Or
Lemon
it won't work at all.
Is a YouTuber that actually has a really good Dale Earnhardt documentary if you just want to
Implement.
Imp Lemon. Well, Emperor Lemon, Imp Lemon.
Steve Harvey and Gigi Allen, yeah. Jill Biden and Alice Cooper.
Jill Booper.
Jill Biden looks like Alice Cooper.
So does Steve Carell. If you take the wig off, like the long hair, he looks
Steve
just.
Carell does?
If you type in Alice Cooper and Steve Carell and look them side by side, they're identical. And there was a conspiracy a long time ago.
Let's look at that. Alice Cooper and Steve
theory
Carell
a
are the
long
same
time ago
person.
who is now dead. Who had every actor is the same group of people conspiracy going around. Some of them it was pretty cool. It was like, this guy's making some cool conspiracies. And you found out he was legit crazy. He was like, he wrecked his car and was selling meth, and then he later died, or maybe he's in prison. I don't know. There you go.
There you go.
Look them
They
teeth.
do look very similar.
Look at
don't
that
they?
nose. That could be his older, cooler.
Maybe he cloned himself and decided he wanted a comedy career instead of a music career.
That's a conspiracy. We could do it for fun sometime. Is he thinks that all the
It didn't work.
it just gave him fat
They
feet.
should at least put a 3 on it. They put a 3 on the Clydesdale. Sometimes you got to be a little more specific. Maybe we go Clydesdale Earnhardt race car.
3.
Clydesdale,
race car
it's like
driver.
Earnhardt Senior.
Number 3.
Yeet yeet.
Woot woot and the poop poop, right? Jill Biden and Alice Cooper. Yeah, they do look similar. Yeah. Jill Biden and Alice Cooper. Let's look them up real quick.
The one that got it started was a guy named Dallas Goldbug. Started posting videos saying that Lady Gaga was a fake character. All they did was kill off what the hell was her name? The one that they tried to take me to rehab. I said no.
Amy Winehouse.
Amy Winehouse. They say she wasn't real, but they just killed her character off and then brought Lady Gaga in. That was his conspiracy.
Yeah, they removed her piece from the chessboard and kinged Lady Gaga.
Jesus. I thought you had that crayon pulled back up again, and that's what it made.
Let's see if it's done yet.
You're like, wait, what? No.
Still working on Clydesdale Earnhardt.
Balls.
But that was when we get done with this. I got one more thing to go into on the sustainable development, and this basically I want to show some of the real world consequences from the. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about.
It's kind of weird, but it is. It's something.
Look at there.
It tried to make something riding a horse.
Yeah.
Wow, that thing is like it looks like it's got a mouth for an eye.
It's almost like a dream version of something,
It's
right?
realism almost.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's another one coming out that's it's DALL-E 2. It's not available to the public yet, but that thing is incredible. It paints in different styles. You can tell it to paint something in an impression style, and you can get way more specific answers.
How much? Okay, here's the thing. Because I believe
Give me
this
Dale
because we're doing it
Earnhardt
right
eating
now. Right?
ravioli and a Monet.
Well, yeah, let's try that.
Like I believe this is real because we're doing it in real time, right?
Yeah.
But like, do you remember which chatbot was it that was it Synchronicity? It's a AI company over in Hong Kong. Where they had the head and stuff, and it turned out that the chatbot, it was a chatbot, it wasn't even really an AI.
Yeah.
It was more like a very low grade version of like, it just wasn't real. Like they were going in and they had all the answers ahead of time to make it look real. And I'm wondering if any of these AI programs are just not fake.
I'm sure some of them are. I mean, to me though, I mean, to have a human being set parameters for every possible thing, I mean, you have to have some kind of something going on in there that's.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I believe this because we're doing it, and then the result is still squishy. It's not good, really.
Yeah.
It's funny, but like, I'm not sure I believe the one where it's like, I want you to paint an impressionist version of George Washington having sex with Bigfoot on the moon on their third anniversary.
Well, how would it
You know what
work
I'm
if
saying?
it
Like,
wasn't real though? I mean,
someone sits down and
you got
goes,
somebody who
"All right,"
immediately
and
does it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just sits
okay.
there and types it out real quick. Some person on Fiverr or something. I'm just saying, like, if it's instantaneous, yeah, then
Okay.
I guess that would be a problem. But like, if it takes like a day, somebody could do that in a day.
I wouldn't say that's in the style of Monet, but it kind of is. It's kind of impressionistic.
That's a very impressionistic donut he's eating.
Yeah.
Or why is he eating a donut?
It's supposed to be ravioli, isn't it?
Big ravioli.
Let's see.
It's a bit, that one looks like
Now that looks like a
big
Van Gogh
ravioli.
right there.
That's a big ravioli.
That looks like Van Gogh.
If Earnhardt survived the crash, it's made what he looked like eating ravioli.
He's having a whole tray of pizza there. Jimmy Brooks says, "Damn, late again, but I don't feel tardy." Well, welcome to the party.
It's okay to be late to the party as
It
long
is.
as you have a good time when you get there.
Yeah, and the idea is to be, fashionably late, like the cool kids. Only the nerd shows up right on time, and to the party and says that. No, I am too. That it's a one of those things that you hear in the high school movies where, if you show up to the party before. Or at the time the party starts, that means you don't have anything better to do. But if you show up late, it's because you're so cool and so busy. No. We thank everybody for joining us. Armageddon Hour says cold, I guess because he showed up early. Later than a Uvalde cop. Oh, damn. Jeez. Cold. Ice cold. Dale Earnhardt eating ravioli in the style of Monet.
Speaking of ice
With
cold,
one more
those
here.
bottom ones have the hue of a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, they do.
That was an Outcast joke, sorry. It just
Shake,
was
shake,
way
shake,
too
shake.
over the top. Way too stretching. No,
Well,
like that when you
but
showed me the other day, they
like
had like the
all
dolly and all that stuff. Is it in real time? Like, does it make it right there, or does
Yeah.
it make you wait like a day or two?
No, it makes it right. Oh, the one that's
The one that was making really convincing stuff
Oh,
was crazy.
No, that one is one that's not available to the public yet. So you can you can ask for an invite. Spill the tea. Have a great night, all. Thank you for joining us. Spill the tea.
Thank you for joining us, Bill.
We're gonna hopefully you'll watch the rest of the show after this, whenever you have more time, because we're gonna get into the real world consequences of green extremism from the Washington Examiner, and I'm gonna tell you a story about David Crocket,
David Crocket is
who was
the
born on a
boyfriend.
mountaintop in Tennessee. He killed his first bear when he was only 3.
That ain't no crock.
That's right. Let's see what we got here.
We'll top that into the AI thing and see if it's possible to have a bear killed at 3 by a man named Davy Crocket.
Well, let's put David Crocket killed his first bear when he was only 3. Davy Crocket killed.
Armageddon Hour
First.
says, why don't we try Nicolas Cage and a llama? Nicolas Cage the llama.
Nicolas Cage the elephant.
Well, he wants a llama in there, and I agree with him.
Nicolas Cage llama.
It's got that nice long neck.
Llama duck.
You could probably make some interesting porn. Will it do that?
Yeah, it won't do porn. I tried.
won't?
I tried man with penises.
Well, they need to make one.
I tried man with penises for fingers. it wouldn't give me a good one.
I hope AI does know that
Made his fingers all weird.
there's
but
no
It wasn't dicking
industry.
around.
There's no industry on llama. That's not
It
driven
wouldn't
by,
dick around.
That's not driven by porn. So I think Crayon needs to go on top of it and just allow
It's
it.
probably already out there.
Probably already exists.
Yeah. David Crocket killed his first bear when he was only 3. Well, before we get into that, let's go ahead and don't let me forget Nicolas Cage llama, but let's read the real world consequences of green extremism from the Washington Examiner.
chameleon.
This is a piece by Hugo Gordon from Washington Examiner. And he goes on to talk about how llama chameleon. Yeah, that would be good. Hugo Gordon goes on to talk about how we've we've put this James Webb Space Telescope, and
I don't think those pictures look right. They
Well,
look
well,
enhanced or something.
they are enhanced, but
Are they?
yeah, in a lot of
I'm
different
not a
ways.
space is fake person.
well,
It looks like they've sweetened them a little.
They see light waves that are not visible to the human eye, and they put them in color as if they are visible. So that's why a lot of them look very strange. Not saying I know 100% they're real, but I have watched with excitement as they have built, and I followed all the updates for like 10 years while they were building the James Webb Space Telescope, and
you have solidified that
I think
I'm going to become a anti-globe earther just because you dedicated that much time to something.
I've been
James Webb
an
Telescope.
amateur astronomer for a long time.
Well,
so
I will prove space is fake just to.
if you can do it, I welcome that conversation. But
That's not a conversation.
I welcome that smackdown then. Let's see. Well, he's talking about the James Webb Telescope, and he's basically saying it's pretty amazing what humanity can do. And while we're doing that, much of the world groans under immiserating rules handed down by a theory class, even though they obviously don't work. The accolade for the most disastrous policy outcome is hotly contested, and Wednesday's grim revelation of 9.1% inflation shows that President Joe Biden's spending agenda is a strong contender, but that might not even take the cake. Now, we'll go down a little bit. We're not going to read the whole thing, but I do want to skip down to excessive tight. Let's see. No, sorry, right here. In Britain, overdependence on wind turbines built in to cut carbon emissions leaves inhabitants at the mercy of the weather. When the wind doesn't blow, the economy doesn't work. Jimmy said, everyone knows the earth is flat.
You're damn right, Jimmy.
Do
you believe in simulation theory?
Do I believe in it, or I think it's possible?
You think it's possible, plausible, any of that stuff? Because once you start considering simulation theory, you actually figure out why the round Earth makes more sense, because then you don't have to have a walled off sort of like...
Yeah.
But anyway, I still have to disprove that this Earth is round, though, even though it makes the most sense. Okay. Go ahead.
Well, we'll get into that. Well, Britain, if you don't have wind, you don't have economy. So, like, if you're moving everything over to wind and sun, which you don't have a lot of sun, consistently in London and especially, or in England, especially, you don't have a lot of wind in the summer when you need a lot of the electricity to keep things going, to keep the air conditioners going. You're either going to have to cut down your air conditioner, or you're not going to have to run the factories, or you're not going to run the computer servers, whatever it is, you're going to have to sacrifice if you're too dependent on that. And in Germany, the world's fourth biggest economy, the calm summer air means turbines stand idle, incapable of producing electricity and jacking up energy prices irrespective of the nation's equally asinine overdependence on gas supplies from a recalcitrant Russia. Which, I remember Trump saying something about that. He was like, went in Operation High Jump. Yeah, that's a talk for a whole nother day, Jimmy.
What is that?
It's the thing down there in Antarctica with Admiral Byrd and all that.
Sounds to me like you don't want to admit the Earth's flat. Jimmy, keep going, man.
That's a
globe earther.
No, that's a hollow Earth thing. In Germany, they're buying more gas from Russia now because of the going to the green economy. Let's see, excessive tight emissions rules, which amount to anti-farming policies. That has more to do with inner Earth. That's right. Spill the tea. Operation High Jump. But we'll get into that on another one, y'all. We're talking green stuff right now.
Okay, so to satiate your flat earthness, what about the other side of the Earth?
The upside down.
Oh, you mean like if there's another side of it?
Yeah.
Well, if gravity works. Okay.
If it's flat,
you don't need completely. I have to be stupid with it if you're going to use gravity, though. Because if gravity works, then
maybe it's your mirror image that copies. Maybe your doppelganger holds you. The gravity that holds you to the other side.
I'm okay with that, but we have to use it could be that, but I'm trying to use flat earther rules for this current argument.
Okay.
And if they say water won't stick to a spinning ball and gravity is not real and all this stuff, so what they have to actually believe. The only way for that to work would be if the Earth is flat and it's a shooting bullet going this direction, and then literally the momentum is keeping them pressed down.
Hey, Luke Earl, he says laser tests over large bodies of water show no curvature. Okay.
I agree with you, but I'm going to argue with Cliff, and so we're in a crater then. I guess I could go with crater Earth instead.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, he's arguing for it.
He's saying that shows no curvature.
Yeah. Okay. Hell yeah. We're 3 now. We got 3 anti-globe earthers against. Golf's not decided yet, but I'll win. He's hard over.
Excessively tight emission rules, guys, which amount to anti-farming policies, have triggered protests all across Europe. They started in the Netherlands, where 30% of farms might be put out of business, and they spread to Germany, Italy, Spain, and Poland, where farmers fear being subjected to the same privations. So it's because it's the Agenda 2030, the Sustainable Development Goals. That's what's being implemented. That's what caused Sri Lanka to collapse, and that's what will cause these other nations to collapse. And these people know this, and they're saying that they don't want it to happen. That's why they're protesting and shutting everything down, and so on. So as a result, the gas prices across the country are higher than they've ever built. You got heating and air conditioning getting more expensive, and you're also looking at the UN World Food Program that shows 670 million people, 8% of the world's population, will face hunger by the end of the decade. And they've already found that due to the COVID lockdowns, you had 72 million excess people die who wouldn't have died without those lockdowns. So basically, we're implementing all these. Okay, if this happens, yeah, we're going to be okay over in the U.S. for a time, but it's the poor countries that get hit the hardest from it, because we'll still be able to afford food in the United States, even as the price rises, but the people producing it will sell to the people who are willing to pay the most for it, and we have the ability to pay the most. So the poor countries will starve. They'll also come into the third world, will come into the first world, because that's where the food is, and will basically not be able to produce enough to take care of everybody. So I think it's we're looking at a really bad situation if this keeps going on. So I hope people continue to recognize that this is the World Economic Forum and the UN agenda going into place, and it is what's harming you, and we need people to be aware of it and work to resist it by basically setting up self-reliant communities. That's ultimately the best thing to do, because you don't need any of this stuff if you work with your neighbors and you work with your own family to make sure that you have what you need. Let's see.
You're way up here.
I missed a lot of chats here. Luke says electromagnetism, and Jimmy says it also takes the firmament into consideration.
What do you think about Velikovsky there, Luke of Earl? Emmanuel Velikovsky had the electric universe theory.
Yeah, I'm interested in that too. Basically, that says that gravity is just a product of electricity, and that all the forces, the strong, the weak, gravity, and electromagnetism are all one force. We're just looking at different sides of it. Spill the Tea says, I admit I have no idea. I'm open to. Aaron says same, and it's a possibility, says Spill the Tea. Like within the last few days. What within the last few days?
Like started doubting the shape.
Oh, okay.
Last few days. Here's my I know we'll have to do a whole shaper one. I know I've joked about the idea about doing a flat Earth. I really do. I really think we should, because I really feel like every group of people that gets on something finds something really tiny. And Admiral Byrd spoke about a land of vast oil reserves and stuff like that. And I keep thinking, you talk about the World Economic Forum and stuff. What if they're just trying to save all that stuff for after you pretty much abuse this half of the Earth, and maybe there's another whole half of the Earth over there that we can go and abuse. Maybe that's kind of what Byrd implied. There was a whole continent ready to take, is what he said.
Yeah, he didn't say there was a whole races of beings that he described on there too.
Davy Crocket.
David Crocket killed his first bear when he was only 3 there from Crayon. It's mostly just...
See, there's the bear.
The bear has a rifle.
It looks like the bear's dancing.
It looks like the bear from Fallout in a sense, if they still had fur.
Yeah, looks like it's got 2
but
heads.
He's got a right, yeah. Or the bear only had 1 head and there did.
Luke says electromagnetism explains things better than gravity. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in the electric universe theory. I've read a lot over it over the years. I am not convinced, but I'm definitely open to it, and I think it's fairly plausible, or maybe even likely. But it's just they don't have the math to really explain it yet, so that'll be what really brings it all around. So,
like gravity goes all to hell with the math as soon as you go
on the large or small scales. Yeah, and that's what Einstein, he couldn't understand about it, is he said, this is the way this reacts, or that's what people before Einstein couldn't say. But he found out that that light and gravity, affects things from a really long distance in different ways, and it's different from Newtonian physics. And he proved that with his experiment in, I think it was 1918, where they had an eclipse, and during the eclipse they were able to see the light of a star bend around the sun in real time, like his theory produced. So it showed up in the place other than where you would normally see this star, and it would say it would normally show up right here on this side of the sun, but when the eclipse went around, it was right over here, and that indicated that the gravity from the sun had actually bent the light as it went by it. Aaron says everything energy and cannot be completely destroyed. That's dangerous. 3-year-old to kill a bear. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if David Crocket really did kill a bear when he's 3. He's got a lot of folk stories about him.
Cut down a cherry tree.
I'm saying I don't know.
Fighting words.
I'm saying I don't know. Hey, I forgot one of our local stories.
My heritage.
Where'd it go? I just had it right here. I must have pulled it off somewhere else.
Another topic I would like to do while you're getting this all together, I would like to discuss at some point in time the unique phenomenon of why in America are people all trying to, I don't want to say culturally appropriate, but like nobody wants to be who they are. And I think it's because all Americans have some sort of like an orphan syndrome, except for maybe deep-rooted people like, deep-rooted Greek families, Jewish families, Mexican families. I'm sure you have like some Irish and stuff like that too. But like a lot of the traveling groups, like especially here in Appalachia, like it's all people running from worse situations. And so I'm wondering if like that doesn't cause people to start doing like weird stuff. Like I'm sure you've seen the Black Israelites where they think that the Jews got switched at some point.
That they're the 13th.
Yeah, but is that
tribe.
not is that not just as like I like to laugh at those guys because it is funny because some of the cognitive dissonance they have to use. But is it not just as cringe when you see somebody with like flaming red hair and skin that basically sizzles as soon as UV light touches it, and they're like, yeah, my great-great-grandfather was Cherokee. It's like, no, you know that can't be true. And yet for like decades, they've all been passing down this tale of how a little bit of Cherokee and Navajo slipped into the bloodline, so now we all have psychic Texas Ranger superpowers.
It was a bar, not a bear, yeah.
A bar. But ain't that true?
Killed his first bar. Yeah, and that's interesting because, Jimmy, you know this, we'd always been told that our my great grandfather was either full-blooded or half Indian. I can't remember. But my brother took a DNA test. I don't know if you believe that those things or not, but he took a genetic test, and it was it said he was 16.7% Balkan. And I looked at the Balkans, and the only people in the Balkan region who have dark hair and dark skin, or I guess swarthy skin, I don't know if it's necessarily dark, but they are the Serbians or the Bosnians in that area. So I don't know, maybe was our relative, remember Serbia was at the core of World War I. There's still a lot of resentment towards the Serbians after that, because it was a black hand agent from the Serbian secret society who shot and killed Franz Ferdinand, kicking off World War I. At least if you believe the history, that's what happened. So it would make sense for somebody from Serbia. It'd probably be a lot easier to pass as a Native American if he looked like one than it would be to pass as a foreigner from the nation that started World War I.
I guess I understand like for people who do it because they don't know, like for people who just don't know any better, but I remember there was tales of Cherokee passed down through and I always knew it when I was a kid. I was like, there's no way we've got anything. It's like, my grandma has like the most vibrant, like extension cord orange hair you could imagine. And somehow it slipped in my family's lineage that we had some Cherokee in there. And I did the DNA test thing too. Now they've got me all. Yep. They've got my DNA. Like they want to make another one of these. And there's it's all clustered around Europe, and I've got a little French in here, and there's some little squiggly lines that go out here. And most people have a little bit of what they call Tongo in there, or Togo or something. And it's like, and they can't differentiate that from Native Americans, what they say, because the Native Americans won't give up their blood. They've given enough to the white man, is what they said.
You know what I miss? You know what I miss the most about Donald Trump?
His orange skin?
No, him making fun of Elizabeth Warren, where she was getting on about claiming to be a Native American and she even put in her when she ran for president Luke says most of those DNA tests are bunk and not accurate at all, but she put on her DNA test that or she told everybody and got into college and got her job because she was supposedly a Native American, and it was because her family said she had high cheekbones. She did. She even wrote a book called she got so much financial gain from claiming those things because that helped her to get those positions. And I noticed when she ran for president in 2020 even, she had a Native American looking font for her bumper stickers where it says Warren. But she wrote a book called Pow Wow Chow.
Shit made that cringe level. Whitey wants to be Cherokee made it all the way up, almost to the highest level of office.
She was senator.
Like it's like Americans they don't want to be anything, but they don't want to be American. They want to be anything else except for just somebody who immigrated here.
But the funniest thing was she even after she took her DNA test and it said she was like 0.0001 Cherokee or something.
I told you.
She's like, yeah, I told you. Yeah.
Said, what was she claiming? Like almost.
I don't remember what she was claiming. She just said that she had it in her, but I gotta find this real quick.
It's so ridiculous that you would think that here she's walking around just, I guess, blonde. I mean, like she doesn't look any native at all.
I guess one thing that could say, possibly in it. And like in my family, we have Cherokee, but one of my cousins is like pretty much like blonde, like blonde her whole life, and then her brother looks like 100% pure blood Cherokee, like skin, can't grow facial hair, you know, all of the.
Well, like, I'll give you a good example. I know someone who had been told their whole life that they had African in their DNA because they had coarse hair, they had darker skin, so they was like, oh yeah, there's some slave hanky-panky going on. They did the DNA test. It came back as Tongo, so they thought it was, they were like, yeah, it's black. And then it turns out they actually have photographic evidence of like a great-great-grandma.
Hey, Ayo,
like,
thanks for showing up.
The feathers and like the Cherokee garb and everything. It's like, guys, I think the dark skin and stuff comes from the Cherokee. You actually have a photographic proof. So, I don't think that was slave hanky-panky. I think you guys are part Cherokee.
Aaron says, Luke says Nephilim blood. Aaron says RH negative, and that's alien blood. Yeah, so a lot of people point out that, like, I can't remember how many of the presidents have had RH negative blood, but it's a whole lot of them. A lot of people say they're Dracos or, you know, different races of
because they're all
aliens. I don't know. I know. I've had encounters with RH negative people.
Sounds like you're being a bloodist. What does that mean?
Maybe. No, I just people. No, I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't want to give away anybody's personal information.
Well, you don't have to tell me who they are, but are they cold individuals?
No.
All right. Well, I mean, does it not make sense though that you said political leaders are primarily RH blood? They really are all related, so it would make sense they all have the same blood type.
Yeah, if they were the Dracos and they were preserving their blood. But let's look at this gem here from President Trump visiting the Cherokee Nation, or not Cherokee Nation, but
because you're very, very special people. You were here long before any of us were here. Although we have a representative in Congress who they say was here a long time ago. They call her Pocahontas. But you know what? I like you because you are special.
Guys, we don't deserve him. I'm sorry. That's just too good.
Do you?
Oh, it's too good. Oh, man. Well, hey, let's read a little bit about David Crocket. We've talked before about the Over Mountain Men. Just a couple weeks ago, we got into the Battle of Kings Mountain some, and we talked about how Nancy Ward, with her narking, saved the colonists from the pincher attack from the Indians on the west and the English on the east. And Nancy was an Indian woman who was friends with a lot of the settlers over on this side of the Appalachians, on the west side of the Appalachians, for those who aren't where we are in Carter County. She basically saved their bacon by releasing a guy from prison with a message that the British and the Indians were going to attack. So they saved us from annihilation right there. Well, David Crocket, not Davy Crocket, the famous one, but David Crocket was a man who lived in East Tennessee here, and he was killed by a raid of Creek and I think Chickamauga Indians on his property. And his son, John, went on, and he was actually somebody who fought at the Battle of Kings Mountain. Well, John's son, David, was named after him. That's the legendary Davy Crocket. And he was born down in Limestone, Tennessee. If you go down 11E and on the way to Greenville or Tusculum area there, it's right off the highway. You can't miss it. There's a big sign, David Crocket State Birthplace. You can go down there and check that out. Learn all about David Crocket. David Crocket, though, he didn't always get along with Andrew Jackson. They kind of crossed paths multiple times in the state's history. Andrew Jackson was appointed Major General of the Tennessee Militia in 1802. And that's about the time that David Crocket actually joined up with the Tennessee State Militia, and he joined the Company of Mounted Riflemen, 2nd Regiment of Volunteer Riflemen. And they served under Colonel John Coffee, and they marched into present-day Alabama to they were fighting the Creek Indians, but David Crocket, he preferred hunting to feed the soldiers rather than actually fighting and killing the Creek warriors. And he served during the War of 1812, and you had this was similar to the Revolutionary War. During the War of 1812, you had the British agents reaching out to the different Indian nations and trying to convince them to go to war with the American settlers, and they did so with some success. And that's why the the Creek Uprising, as they call it, was really part of that, and that's what David Crocket was working in. Well, the War of 1812 was what's happening, and Andrew Jackson went on to join the U.S. Army, and he was trying to go fight the British in Spanish Florida, and he asked for support from the Tennessee militia, and Crocket was one of the Tennessee Mounted Gunmen who volunteered, and that's where we get the Tennessee Volunteers. From these guys volunteered to go down and help fight the Spanish out of there. And so Crocket lived in Lawrence County then, and he went on to become a state legislator, and he went on to become a U.S. federal representative, where he would get voted in and out multiple times, and he actually go head-to-head with Andrew Jackson over the Indian Removal Act. Now, Andrew Jackson was pushing for the Indian Removal Act because he'd been fighting Indians that were, riled up to basically, there were agreements made between the Indians and the men who lived on this side of the Appalachians. The British went over and convinced them that these agreements were null and void and that they were being taken advantage of, and then the Indians would be willing to fight, to try to reclaim where they feel like they'd been cheated. Well, while all this is happening, Andrew Jackson is pushing for the Indian Removal Act, and with the idea that a lot of people give the idea as, well, Andrew Jackson just hated Indians. Well, no, he didn't just hate Indians. He actually had an adopted Indian child, and his pushing for this act was to avoid further bloodshed, is what he would say. But it's like, obviously today we know that was a bad thing to pick the people up and remove them. But the idea that he's just this guy who hates Indians, and so he wanted them all out of there, it was a lot more complicated than that. But Crocket actually did not agree with that, and he voted against the Indian Removal Act, and he was which was very unpopular in Tennessee, and he actually lost his next election after that. Well, shortly after that, there was the Texas fight for independence from the Mexican government, and he went on and volunteered with that. Actually, he famously said when he left Tennessee, "You all can go to hell, I'm going to Texas." And then he went on down to Texas and either got killed and in the fight of the Alamo, or got executed after. We don't really know which one happened to him. But that David Crocket was somebody who was always tried to do the right thing, it seems like, and he made a lot of lore about him killing his only bear when he was only 3. Lots of different folk stories go around about David Crocket. We got a high school named after him.
I had one. Most people only have one.
So, yeah, what do you think about David Crocket? You reckon he killed his first bear when he was only 3?
I reckon that's a good face right there. It's like freshly, just puckered a lemon. Can I see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's our Dolly, our crayon version of.
What's with that one rapey eye?
I don't know, but that looks like it's written on a dollar.
Yeah.
On a piece of money.
I bet that's just George Washington's dollar chunk down at the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's a nice collared suit.
And they put a really frazzled, almost looks like the Count from the Addams Family. The granddad.
Yeah. Granddad, yeah. I can't remember what his name is.
Dracula.
Grandpa Dracula. But, we got through most of this stuff faster than I thought. I thought it might take us 2 hours. So, we're trying to build. We're always trying to build on what we go into in the next episode. So, I'm not sure yet what we're going to do next week, because we've been kind of hitting this sustainable development agenda for the past few weeks. And it might be good to have a break from that and get into something else for a little while before we move into the logical conclusion of it, which would be
transhumanism.
That's right. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, Dustin?
Basically, some of it we need to go more into the research. I've not dabbled into any of it in a little while, but pretty much wanting to take the man out of it and
100%.
Pretty much kind of be integrated with technology more and more, become more machine-like, which there's certain parts of it that don't seem really that bad, with more realistic prosthesis and certain things, being able to cure certain diseases, with macular degeneration and stuff like that. I feel some of that stuff.
If I got my leg chopped off, I would take a robot leg in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. But then there's some of it, it's It's like if it's connected to like an integrated like Wi-Fi system or something, it's like, nah, because that means someone else could probably hack into it and control it.
Yep.
That could mean like, and like if anyone's familiar with the Deus Ex video games,
Yep.
that hits quite heavy. Those games are pretty much like this whole topic because they take place in that post era.
Prosthetics and stuff to be more medicine than transhumanism, though, because like I think transhumanism.
But what
is
if it's integrated biomechanically into your body?
Yeah, I think it's the lead into transhumanism.
Because you're still human. The idea, yeah, you're right. It's the lead in, because the idea of transhumanism is when you're no longer human, you transition from human to completely machine.
Well, no, not necessarily completely machine, though, right?
Transhumanism, the idea of immortality, and they know that the human vessel can't live forever.
But you're supposed to transfer your human consciousness into that machine. Is
and
the
that's
idea.
what they think the AI is. The AI, like the AI, wouldn't that be God at that point if it was inside of if everybody was logged in?
Well, we like to bring up Elon Musk on this channel, and we've talked about the AI aspect of some of the things he's talking about before. But what about the neural net or Neuralink? Have we talked about that? And this is something they currently have. I mean, you can buy a drone right now that you can fly with your mind. You put a thing on your head, it reads your electrical impulses, and you can control the drone with this headband.
Sounds stupid. But I guess if you want to shoot people with it.
Well, there's a lot of practical applications for it, but the stuff that we could get is still in its early stages. They've really had those for a while, but what's available on the consumer market is not anything terribly impressive.
There was a Star Wars toy about a decade ago that you put like a thing on it, and it read like beta waves in your brain, and you could actually like use the force to levitate a ball up into a certain area. So
that, like you said, that's about 10-year-old technology, and that's when they first started getting those drones on the consumer market where you could actually control them that way. But I mean, Elon Musk is talking about neural net, where basically if you have say you've lost your spinal cord's been severed and you're a paraplegic, you can't move your legs, well, they can use you attach something into your brain and hardwire it, bypass your spinal column where it's damaged, and you can still be able to control your legs. And there's also a lot of other implications for that as well.
Blind people too, being able to more or less. I saw something like years ago, just thinking of that they more or less like wired someone's brain into like graphics cards for like a PC, and they could actually see again.
I saw that one other guy they put essentially like little cameras. It looked a fright. But he could see again, but he had these black camera lenses sticking out of his sewed shut eyelids, so he just with his sunglasses all the time. It's like so when he goes to sleep at night, he had to put these little lens caps over them because you can't close your cameras.
Yeah. But yeah, that's we can talk for a long time about where that possibly goes. What are the there's the whole slippery slope argument, I guess, is how do we end up? We've also talked a lot on this show about how we're being pushed towards the metaverse by groups such as the World Economic Forum. They basically say they're going to control the metaverse, and they want us to spend most of our time in it. So when they push us towards things that are less and less dependent on having a human body, then the whole transhuman agenda becomes a little bit more, because you look at something like the Matrix, which came out in 1999, but it's really an old idea. I mean, I think the idea from it comes from ancient Greece, that basically human beings are just a power source, and everything we're doing is a dream, while whatever uses our energy is harvesting that power.
I think the oldest you could actually date the idea of the Matrix back to, that this might not be real, probably be Descartes, though.
Yeah.
Would be, maybe they're probably, that's the oldest one I can think of. That's just from philosophy experience. I'm sure there's probably somebody that might have said this isn't. Well, the Allegory of the Cave. There you go.
Plato.
There you go. Yep. Plato. That did predating.
Now remember we talked about that before, where the Allegory of the Cave was, well, to basically sum it up, you had the people that were trapped inside a cave and they could see things moving on the outside, right? And is this projections within ourselves, or is this real? I can't remember exactly how it goes. Tell us about it, Tim.
Oh, well, they were trying to, it says, if you lived inside of a cave, to sum it up, if you lived inside of a cave and the only thing you had was the experience of the reflection of the light shining the shadows onto the wall, and all you could see was the shadows of things walking by, and maybe trees and people carrying stuff, that's all you could base your world off of, you would have you wouldn't know, hey, maybe even a clue of what the real world was.
You don't know anything other than what you see.
Yeah, and so they're saying you really only have they have all kinds of pretentious words for it in philosophy. It's like, what is it, like sense data and stuff like that. It's really, you only have this to work with,
Right.
and you could be wrong about a lot of it. That's the sum it up, you know.
Well, it's just like, what if you were born in a virtual reality machine, right? And that was how you learned to live. Would you even know that you were in a virtual reality machine? If you were born in,
Well,
if you were a baby and you grew up in it?
If you want to play that game, how do we know any of the things we're looking at online right here?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. How do we know anything's real? Maybe we're all just
artificial internet theory.
Maybe we're all just babies in a tank. And the dead internet theory, we've talked about that before,
No,
but I want to
artificial internet theory.
I want to get
all
into
fake
dead too. That's what the dead internet theory is basically that it's all bots now, and that all the real people on the internet have been gone for a long time, and it's
falls apart pretty quick when you realize that people just stay online all day, though.
well, yeah, but there are a lot of bots out there too. Just look how many comment on our videos after we get done. We get like free free German OnlyFans comments coming in,
That
and
quickly clicked on and went, hell yeah,
yeah, doing my Scheiße again.
into that Scheisse porn.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Crap.
I'm always looking for Cartman's mom in the Scheiße porn. I gotta find this one story though real quick. I wanted to gosh, I had it pulled up and now I can't find it. But basically, a Tennessee court, a federal court in Knoxville, decided that the Tennessee can for state programs block transgender people from participating in sports other than their biological sex. So you can't have a male high school athlete competing in female, dressing as a woman and compete in female high school events. And the federal judge in Knoxville ruled that was constitutional and that they could have that law. So I meant to get into that a little bit tonight, but did want to mention it as part of our little local segment there. I think that's pretty. The idea, I tell you what, when some people will say, well, because these women who are participating in it don't have a problem with it, well then, yeah, I'm fine with that too. Though, really, if you're in like a professional level and there are women who are competing and they're fine with competing against a transgender man, then that's up to them. But as far as children goes, I think we have to protect them from having like a. I like that you take the for the hard work that they put in to be taken away by somebody who's biologically naturally stronger and faster. And then I see things like this UFC fighter who's a transgender woman,
Fallon Fox,
and fighting against women, and he broke a woman's skull open.
Fallon got his ass kicked by a woman.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, good.
That's what I'm saying. It's like he kicked Fallon's ass, even though, just show her, I'm good enough to kick a man's ass too.
Yeah.
What she was trying to say. Because the biggest thing with Fallon wasn't that it wasn't the biggest problem wasn't that she was fighting women. That wasn't the issue. They didn't tell anybody that
Right,
she
right, yeah,
transitioned for
sorry.
like 4 fights,
Yeah.
and it was like 2 fights. She really broke someone's orbital bone, just all kinds of crazy stuff until people started looking into, hold on a second, is she on steroids? And it turns out that it was a lot more juicier than steroids. It was a transition.
So anyway, if you're a grown woman and you're okay with fighting a man who is transitioning to a woman, fine. But look into the Black Knight satellite. Oh yeah, we'll have to definitely do that. Have you ever seen? Thanks, spill the tea all over me. That's definitely an interesting topic. Have you ever seen that show where they trapped that woman's consciousness and made her control their appliances? I can't remember the name of that show. Armageddon Hour says. I don't know. I don't think I've seen that.
Anybody seen the show where they trapped that woman's consciousness and made her control it? No, but that's a really weird statement.
Yeah, that's like you will do this housework, woman. But yeah, so we'll get into some more transhuman topics on a later episode. But I think ultimately that our green agenda and our smart city leads into transhumanism. So we will continue to expound on those ideas, and like I said, we'll probably take a break from that and do something a little more fun. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, something Bigfooty or UFO-y or something like that. That's you know, you can see what's going on in the world around you without us talking about it, so we can have some other discussions too. But I appreciate you joining us tonight. Like, share, subscribe, invite your friends, anybody who might like to join the channel. We had some Luke, nice to see you in here tonight, buddy. Aaron, spill the tea. We had Dalton was in there for a little bit. We also had Jimmy. We had Sean got in here with us. We had Miss You Too. It's good to hear from all of you. I think that's everybody that
Alpha
talked
and
with us.
Omega is currently watching.
Alpha and Omega?
He said he was going to start at the beginning.
Oh, AO was there, yeah. Yeah, AO joined us too. So we really thank y'all for joining us and for chiming in. That's really what makes the channel fun. It's what really makes us have a good time with it, is bouncing these ideas off of you as well as just off ourselves. So share this around, get some more people in here, help us get our subscriber count up so we can turn down the YouTube money when they throw it at us. Because we get up to 1,000 subscribers, they'll start throwing money at us. And Aaron said it was Netflix Black Mirror. That's a creepy show. I've not seen that one. I've seen like the first season of it. But yeah, I definitely would like to check that one out there, and I'll look at it. And that's a good transhuman sounding show to look into. But thank you for joining us. Hit all those buttons, do all that stuff. Would you kindly share this